There's a specific moment almost everyone who's been through a breakup remembers. Not the breakup itself, the moment before it, weeks or months earlier, when something quietly shifted and you didn't even clock it as important. Maybe it was a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic happened. They just didn't text back as fast. Or you caught yourself not telling them about your day the way you used to. Or you were lying next to them and felt for just a second completely alone. You probably brushed it off, told yourself you were overthinking it. And then, months later, the actual breakup happened, and it felt sudden, out of nowhere, like a switch flipped. Here's what almost nobody tells you. That switch didn't flip that night. It had been flipping, slowly, for a long time. And understanding exactly how that happens might be the most useful thing you ever learn about your own relationships.
We've all heard the breakup stories that sound clean. We just grew apart, the spark was gone, it was a mutual decision. These explanations sound simple because we want them to be simple. Nobody wants to sit with the messier truth. But in late 2025, two researchers, Anna Simonko and Verlin Hinz, published something that quietly upends almost everything we assume about why relationships end. They reviewed decades of psychology on human decision-making and built an integrated model specifically for how people decide to leave a relationship. And their core finding is almost uncomfortable. Breakups are rarely impulsive. They are, in most cases, the result of a long, mostly invisible internal process, one that's been running in the background of your mind long before you ever said the words out loud. If you've ever been blindsided by a breakup, or if you've ever been the one who left and couldn't fully explain why, this is going to feel personal.
According to this research, there are 4 things silently shaping that decision, whether you're aware of it or not. Let's go through them, and I'd bet at least one of these is going to sting a little, because you'll recognize it. The first is your attitude toward the relationship itself. Not the big obvious stuff, whether you love them or not. The small, cumulative stuff. Do you feel more like yourself around this person, or smaller? When something good happens in your life, are they the first person you want to tell, or does that thought not even occur to you anymore? This attitude doesn't form in one conversation. It's built moment by moment, text by text, over months, and it can shift so gradually that you don't notice it happening until you suddenly realize you've already made up your mind. The second factor is what the researchers call social norms, basically what the people around you think and how much that weighs on you. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes you're not just asking yourself, am I happy? You're quietly asking, would my friends approve of this relationship if they saw what I see? Maybe your friends have started going quiet when you talk about your partner. Maybe your family asks careful, loaded questions. You might not consciously register it, but research on decision-making consistently shows that our sense of what's socially acceptable heavily shapes our private choices, even the ones that feel deeply personal, like who we love. This is why sometimes a single comment from a friend, "Are you sure they treat you well?" can echo in your head for months, quietly reshaping a decision you thought was entirely your own.
The third factor is perceived control. Do you actually believe you have the power to change things or fix what's broken? This one is sneaky because it's not about whether the relationship could be fixed. It's about whether you believe it can be fixed. If you've tried to bring something up before and it went nowhere, if you've asked for change and watched nothing change, your brain starts to quietly conclude, this isn't something I can influence. And once that belief sets in, people stop trying to fix things. Not because they stopped caring, but because trying started to feel pointless. This is often the part that looks like giving up from the outside. It usually isn't. It's the result of watching your own effort fail to move anything over and over until your mind protects you from repeating something that hasn't worked.
And the fourth factor, the one most people never even think to name, is habit and self-concept. Simply, who have you become inside this relationship, and does that version of you still feel like you? Some people stay in relationships not because they're happy, but because the relationship has become part of their identity. Leaving would mean not just losing a partner, but losing a version of their daily life, their routines, sometimes even their sense of who they are. And on the flip side, some people leave not because anything went dramatically wrong, but because they slowly noticed they built their entire identity around being someone's partner and quietly started wanting themselves back. Now, here's where this gets personal, because these 4 factors don't operate one at a time. They're happening simultaneously, quietly influencing each other for weeks or months before anything visible occurs. Your attitude shifts a little. That shift makes you more sensitive to what your friends are saying. That makes you question whether
There's a newer piece to this too, one that didn't exist for previous generations working through the same four factors, what researchers are now calling digital atrophy. It's not one big fight, it's smaller replies, stories watched without a like, a read receipt sitting there unanswered for hours that stretch into a full day. None of it is dramatic enough to bring up on its own, but your nervous system tracks it anyway. Every small digital gap becomes one more quiet data point feeding into that same background process, reshaping your attitude, testing your sense of control, without you ever consciously deciding this means something. If you've ever found yourself staring at a notification that didn't come, replaying a message that took too long to get a reply, you weren't being paranoid. You were running the exact same ancient decision-making process this research describes, just with modern inputs.
So what do you actually do with this? If you're in a relationship right now and something feels quietly off, the answer isn't to panic or to demand a dramatic conversation. It's to get honest about which of these four things is actually shifting. Is it your attitude? Do you feel smaller around this person lately? Is it the people around you? Has someone's opinion started weighing more than it used to? Is it control? Have you actually tried to fix something, or have you just assumed it's hopeless? Or is it identity? Are you staying because you're happy, or because you're scared of who you'd be without this? And if you're the one who's already been through it, if you're sitting with a breakup that still doesn't fully make sense, this research offers something quietly comforting. It probably wasn't one thing. It probably wasn't even entirely their fault or entirely yours. It was four slow-moving forces, compounding for months, finally reaching a point where continuing simply stopped making sense to one or both of you. That doesn't make it hurt less, but it might make it easier to stop looking for the one big reason, the one mistake, the one thing you could have said differently. Sometimes there isn't one moment to find. There's just the slow tipping of a scale that had been quietly shifting long before either of you said a word.
If this changed how you think about your own relationship, past or present, hit like and subscribe. Every week, we dig into the psychology behind the things happening in your relationships that nobody ever explains clearly. And I want to know, looking back, can you actually pinpoint the moment things started shifting for you? Weeks or months before the actual breakup? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. See you in the next one.